This morning we're going to be talking about the real trial of the century. Historians say the real trial of the 20th century took place right after World War II, when Nazi officers were tried before the eyes of the world for atrocities. Attorney Thomas Dodd played a major role, serving as one of America's lead prosecutors at Nuremberg, and he documented his experience in letters home to his family, his wife and his family in Connecticut. More than 60 years later, his son, Senator Chris Dodd, has compiled hundreds of those never-before-published letters in a new book. It is entitled Letters from Nuremberg, My Father's Narrative of a Quest for Justice. Senator Dodd, good morning.
Good morning, Ann.
Your father went to Nuremberg after World War II. He interrogated the likes of notorious people, including Hermann Göring and Rudolf Hess, among others. And you write that this left him profoundly changed. But you didn't know for years how.
No, didn't know the letters existed until a few years ago. They were in my sister's basement, and discovered them and read them with great pleasure, hearing my father's voice. They've been gone for years, both of my parents. So to hear my father's voice talking as lovingly about my mother in those wonderful letters, on one level, were just tremendously valuable. On the second level, it's a unique perspective on the trial. Most every other book been written about Nuremberg is written after the fact. These are contemporaneous accounts of this trial as it stumbles along, with no guarantee it was going to work at all. But maybe the most important aspect of the letters are not only letters to my mother, but an epistle in a sense to this generation about the rule of law.
That's a very interesting point.
Yeah.
Let's go back to what you said earlier about it being a first draft of history.
Yeah.
Historians are calling these letters a gold mine, that there is something in them because they're written as the trial was going on.
It was really remarkable. There's a great opening line by Robert Jackson that said that four great nations, with the Russians, the Germans, the Russians, the British, the French, and ourselves, he said that four great nations, flushed with victory and stung with injury, stayed the hand of vengeance by voluntarily submitting their enemies to the rule of law, was the greatest tribute that power ever paid to reason.
In one letter, your father writes about the trial, someday it will be recognized as a great landmark in the struggle of mankind for peace. Someday the boys will point to it, I hope, you being one of those boys, to be proud and inspired by it. Clearly you are inspired and proud of it. However, you also write in the lead into this book, if for 60 years a single word, Nuremberg, best captured America's moral authority and commitment to justice, unfortunately another word now captures the loss of such authority and commitment, Guantanamo. Are you saying that the Geneva Conventions, as reinterpreted by the Bush administration, represents a loss of America's moral authority?
I think it does,
in the world?
and Colin Powell made the same point in many ways. This was a remarkable event at Nuremberg. We stood up for the rule of law. Churchill wanted to summarily execute the defendants at Nuremberg. The Soviets did as well. But Jackson, Henry Stimson, and a few others, my father included, said, no, let's give them a trial. Let's prove the difference, the civility of people who believe in the rule of law. And today, in a sense, when you do away with habeas corpus, restore torture as a means of collecting information, walk away from the Geneva Conventions, calling it sort of an antiquated idea, then it's retreating from the very high ground that Nuremberg represented at the end of World War II. We talk about the greatest generation winning that war. That greatest generation also understood the value of justice and the principles upon which this country was founded. We're retreating from those values today. That's why this book has relevancy, not just as history, but also the lessons it teaches our generation.
Senator Chris Dodd, a man running for president of the United States, and also the son of Tom. Thank you so much.
Thank you, very, very much. Yeah, nice to meet you as well.
Best to you.
Thanks.
This is Today on NBC.